Today's adventure sadly has its basis in an unfortunate situation. Our good friends Kirk and Gail, who live on Sanibel Island with us, their home was very badly damaged by Hurricane Ian, so badly that it is uninhabitable. And while it's being repaired, they've decided to get a Airstream Bambi camper to live in. So we've agreed to go help pick that up for them and take it to them on the island so they can be right on their property there. As part of that, we're also going to do a little range test with it. I've been trying to get an Airstream base camp for months and been unable to do so. The Bambi's a little bit heavier and might be a little bit bigger, but I'm sure it's a little bit heavier. So it's pretty close though. We're gonna use that instead. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little loop today up to Punta Gorda and then back. And then tomorrow, I'm going to do the same loop at about the same time so traffic is similar without the camper. And we will compare and see how much range loss there was. We're going to go 70 miles an hour both days, and we'll see how much the wind resistance and the added weight, and it's mostly the wind resistance, affects the range of the F-150 Lightning. Welcome back to E-Hermes, your electric adventure travel channel. Please remember to subscribe, hit the like button, and hit that bell button to be notified of our upcoming content. We're all used to backup cameras, and of course this has the bird's eye view camera as well to let you know where everything is around you. But what I really like hooking up a trailer, because even with the backup camera I can't always judge exactly when I'm right under the hitch, but with the hitch cam, you certainly can. It turns out the Airstream Bambi comes in several different sizes, from 16 feet all the way up to 22 feet. And this happens to be the largest 22-foot version, weighing almost 4,000 pounds. So it's larger than I expected it to be, and certainly larger than the base camp that I had initially intended to try to run a test with. Once I got Kirk back in the truck with me and we headed off, I showed him some of the acceleration. He was, shall we say, impressed. Here we go.
Don't tip it over. Jesus. I would have sworn that thing would have tipped over. All right, you don't have to do that very often.
Okay, we're gonna get up to 70 and we're gonna go bridge to bridge. I mean, some people try to go 85 and 90, and I wouldn't do that pulling a trailer anyhow. 70 is the speed limit, although I was just in either Colorado or somewhere, and the speed limit was 80.
It's awesome.
It was shocking.
Yes, it is pretty cool.
And one thing, the auto steer won't work over 80, so it'll work at 80, but it won't work over 80. We went about 22 miles to just south of Punta Gorda. I was going to go a little further. I was going to go all the way up across the Peace River, but number one, it's raining, which I really didn't count on because I'm trying to redo this twice with the same conditions, and it seems unlikely to be raining again, especially this time of year. It's pretty uncommon to rain this time of year, honestly. So we cut a little bit short what we were doing. Well, we're doing a little bit better now because I got off there and was driving a little slower when I made the turnaround. We were getting 0.9 miles per kilowatt hour, which is abysmal. You could not really travel that way because you're only going to get about 100 miles usable without having to charge. Charging with the camper attached is going to be very difficult anyhow. So my goal is to get at least 1.5 miles per kilowatt hour. Now I was driving, going 72 because you don't really feel it, or then the truck just goes, but my goal is to get 1.5 miles per kilowatt hour. I kind of think that's the minimum for long distance traveling, pulling something. That way you may have to charge once through the day, charge overnight, and you make a little bit of progress, but 0.9, or we're up to 1 right now, miles per kilowatt hour, like I say, is just not gonna work. So the initial loop of the highway driving was 45 miles, and up and back we averaged in total 1 mile per kilowatt hour, which is better than the 0.9 we were getting going up there, but it's still really not good enough. So now we're going to go all the way to Sanibel, and we'll be driving. There's more traffic here. We're going to be going a little slower. We're going to be going on back roads, so I expect the efficiency to improve somewhat. Maybe we'll get up to 1.2, but you know, if you were trying to drive across the country pulling this camper, getting 1 mile per kilowatt hour, that's going to be a tough way to go. You're going to have to stop and charge every hour and a half, and it's going to take an hour to charge, and that's if you use the whole battery, which you're not gonna. So you'd probably have to stop every hour and charge for 40 minutes. That's a pretty inefficient way to travel. like I say, if you could get up to 1.5, I think that's doable. That's kind of my minimum. 1.8 would be my goal. I'd be happiest with that. Maybe at 60, you'd get this up to 1.2, but you're not going to get it to 1.5 and certainly not to 1.8. It's just too big and too heavy. So that's a pretty good load back here. It's bigger than I thought it was. So next we're going to try a casita, I believe. We're going to try to do a test with one of those, which is much smaller and lighter, and hopefully it will get us closer to at least the 1.5. So getting off the highway, so all the highway, now there was a little bit more south than there was north. We averaged 1.1 miles per kilowatt hour, so that's slightly better, but again, it's still not going to get you to 1.5 and certainly not to 1.8. The best you're going to do under ideal conditions is probably 1.2. And that just
in either of the two right lanes, then turn right.
The acceleration is awesome.
I always say, you know, I don't care about 0 to 60. I mean, I'm not going to a drag race. But if you need to pull out, you're on a 2-lane road and you're trying to pass a slow-moving truck or a tractor and you need that acceleration, that's when you need it. And an electric vehicle gives you that acceleration, not just at the low end, but at any point in the torque curve, because it's constant. So that acceleration, when you need it, is nice to have.
Yes, which harkens back to the moment when we made that first right-hand turn to get onto the highway.
So you thought the
kid says, "Hey, watch this."
Wait. So here we are coming back onto Sanibel Island. We started when we left up there. We had 91%, I believe, of the battery. We're down to 46. We are averaging with the slower traffic here in town and stopping for Kirk's lunch. We are averaging 1.2 miles per kilowatt hour. Unfortunately, I was not able to get back out here to do the without the trailer tow comparison thing for a few more weeks after I pulled the Airstream Bambi, but we're finally here to do it. Same thing, we're going to go from the Caloosahatchee River up to the Peace River, just south of there, turn around and come back, and that will be our official marker. It took 1.0 miles per kilowatt hour with the trailer. I think without the trailer going the same speed, it'll be closer to 2 miles per kilowatt hour, but we'll see. So we're going to reset the trip meter as we come onto the bridge, and we are set. Because it had begun to rain and Kirk needed to get back anyhow, we needed to get the camper back. We did not go all the way to the Peace River when we were pulling the trailer, so I turned around at the same spot here. On the way up with the trailer, we were getting 0.9 miles per kilowatt hour. Without the trailer, I was getting 2.0 miles per kilowatt hour. So the trailer penalty was more than 50%. Now I will say it was a north wind that day. I'm not sure which way the wind is out of today. We may end up keeping the 2.0. By the time we got back to the Caloosahatchee River, for the circular round trip, we used 1.0 miles per kilowatt hour. But if we keep that, it'll be exactly 50% if we keep the 2.0 today. Still quite a difference. Here we are getting ready to cross back over the Caloosahatchee River to conclude our 44-mile loop, 45 miles probably by the time we get across the bridge. I think that's what we said the last time. And we're going to use 2.0 miles per we're going to get 2.0 miles per kilowatt hour, which is exactly twice what we got pulling that medium-sized camper, 22 feet, 4,000 pounds. Not the biggest thing you can pull, certainly not the smallest either. So probably a nice average-sized camper. I would have liked to have tried it again if we had more time with the camper at 60 miles an hour and seen how much difference it made. I think it would have been substantial, but we won't know that. But we will try again when we get the casita that we're going to try to pull and do a range test on that. So we hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button. As always, please subscribe and certainly hit that bell button to be notified of our upcoming content. Thank you!